Hello and welcome to Elvenhome, and a touch of all our yesterdays as I bring you back to see the intro with me standing by the layout. That's not unconnected with the fact that my desk is currently a tip. In this video I start the work on refurbishing the platforms and also plenty of running shots, which I explain why there's quite so many running shots when we get to the end. So let's get straight on to the work of rebuilding the platform. In the last video I said that having got the track laid and trains running round, the next thing I had to turn my attention to before I pinned all the track down and then could start thinking a bit more about some scenic work was to sort out the platform of Weathertop, because a number of locomotives and some of the longer coaches had started to clip the end of the platform. Now, in fact, it wasn't the end you're looking at, it was the other end, which is way down there. This platform was built and designed to be able to take 8 long coaches, normal size length coaches, together with a Pacific-sized locomotive with its tender. So I started work on doing that. I also do want to do a bit more about lighting the platform than I have done, and I'll talk about that in a separate section. I think we'll put something between this bit and the lighting, because there's quite a bit I want to talk about around that, and I don't want this to be one long diatribe. So I set about taking all the wires, undoing all the wires for the lights, which go right through the baseboard to 2 separate places underneath, and getting ready to pick up the platform, which I was going to scrap, and to build a new platform that was a little bit narrower, that would cure the problem of trains hitting it. So I got as far as taking all the platform off, and something in my head suddenly said to me, do you actually have to scrap this platform? Now, I have another Metcalf kit, and I'll show you how the platform goes together, because one of the things I was going to do was show you how to build a Metcalf platform, because I think they're really very, very good and they work really quite well. So the first thing I did was to say, well, was to work out what was causing the problem. And the problem was being caused, and I'll put a picture up here of the track formation. As the train comes in on this side of the platform, it has to curve to come in. The line on this side of the platform is dead straight. And it was the age-old thing that I hadn't properly put a curve on the end of the platform to allow the coaches and the trains to curve their way into the straight section of the platform. Now, you may recall that some time ago I'd said I had a problem, and I had lifted this off and made some adjustments. And if I put back on the piece that I've cut off, just so you can see here, take you across. What I had done at that point, if I just hold that one there, originally this was dead straight, so I took it in at an angle, but this still left this pointy bit here, which I'm hoping you can see if I zoom in a bit. There we go. This still left a quite sharp edge here. Now, actually, at this end of the platform, it wasn't causing so much of a problem, because this ends just about where the trains are leaving, and the curve starts to take the track back to the next one. So I deconstructed this end of the platform. You'll see there's no wall there. And using the technique that I should have used in the first place when I built the platform, of putting a piece of paper down, seeing where the track goes, and also running a coach over the area where the oversway is causing the problem, I was able to cut off this bit to put a very gentle curve from there. It curves very gently to a narrower end. And I was able to do the same at the bottom. And what I'll put up now is some running shots with the 9F, which has got the widest valve gear on it. No, I don't mean valve gear. It has got the widest running gear on it, all the conrods and things, of all my locomotives, and pulling my longest coaches, including one of the Thompson Teaks, which was starting to biff the thing as it went by. And you will see by now that it runs beautifully and that I don't need to rebuild the platform. So what I'm going to do instead is to do a bit of refurbishing of the platform. And what I'll do is I'll just take what's on here off, and then I'll come back and carry on speaking to you about what I'm going to be doing to the platform. What I propose to do is to give the platform a bit of TLC. There are some repairs I've got to put on. The Metcalfe platforms are really easy to put together. They provide you with a strip here which you fix to the outside edge of the platform top, and that provides a little ledge against which you can fix the walls. Now all of these come in the kit, and then it's just a case of constructing your length and putting strengtheners in at various points, which help bind the sidewall to the platform top, and then several of these which go as a zigzag essentially to make sure you're binding the two walls together. And it's really very simple construction. Now over time some of these parts have become, if I bring one here, you can see that that's become unstuck. Can you see that? Let's see if I can get this properly into focus. There we are, that's a bit better. That these have becoming unstuck, and they need replacing. Now I bought another kit because I was going to completely rebuild this platform, but I don't need to, but I can use parts from the kit to do some of the general maintenance that's needed on here. I do have to put in a new end here. That won't be hard to do, because I need to put in a new section of this thin strip to be able to set the platform edging in. One of the other things I'd been having a slight problem with some locomotives and coaches occasionally clipping the other side of the platform about halfway along, and I couldn't work out why it was, because the track really is dead straight. It's not a bad job of laying that I've done there. And once I got the platform off, you can't see it now because I've corrected it, but about halfway, in fact I can't see where it is, but about halfway along one of these edges there was lumps of ballast. Now that must have been from when that section was ballasted, which was done long after the platform had been put on. and a few bits of ballast had accreted on the very edge of the platform. They weren't very deep, a couple of millimeters, but it was enough for some things to catch on it. So I've been able to go along and get it all off, and so that's now nice and straight. And as you may have seen from the shots that I took, I ran the Pullman along down there, and there's no problem. There's a nice gap, and that's about as wide as the things that I've got. I think maybe there's one or two things, but all of them will happily go down there now once this is in place. I'm going to go off and start doing the TLC on this to be able to restore this back on and save me the pain of having to build a whole new 4-foot long platform. So that's been quite a good outcome for me. The platform will sit on quite nicely, but I now know that it will not cause anything to clip it. Hooray. I said earlier that I wanted to talk a little bit about the lighting, additional lighting that I want to put on to this platform. One of the things that I really regret when I first started doing the layout was being scared of lighting anything and being very firm in my mind that I wasn't going to light anything. Now, lighting makes so much difference. It's unbelievable. And this platform suffers quite a bit from that. When it was originally built and constructed, the canopies are Metcalfe kits. You get 4 in a kit, and I think there are 24 there, so that's 6 kits, and they're beautiful. The canopies really are lovely pieces of work. There's really fine tracery work underneath, and they make for a really good canopy. I scratch built the buildings, one of my early scratch builds, and they're nothing more than fairly flimsy card with a Microsoft table, which is used to create the boarded effect that you see in lots of places, and then obviously cut out a pattern and put various bits and pieces on it. I'll put a link in the video description below to the videos, or one of the videos, where I actually show that in more detail, how that's created. The original idea was that there would be lighting in some of these buildings. This is meant to be, if I bring it so you can see what I'm pointing at, this is the restaurant, for example. Now, there is nothing in there at the moment, but I will be getting a few bits and pieces because I want to populate the inside of the restaurant. I want to populate with a desk and chair and maybe a sat figure for the station master. There's a parcels office a bit further down here, which I think would look quite good if there was some stuff and some work going in there. And there's a waiting room in the block that's at the very end. There is the waiting room. So there's plenty that could be populated and lit. But because I was having a fit of the vapours over doing anything electrical at that point, I didn't build it in either to this platform or to these buildings. I went back later, as some of you may know, and put in 3 downlights which sit, there's one of them you can just see there, there's another one there's another one that sits in here, and the final one sits right up the end there, which gives some light. And actually it's not untypical, because my memory of platforms before you got modern lighting in them was that they were quite dingy looking things. But it is rather dark. And lighting, as I've said, makes so much difference. If I've already made a small change here and put one of the very small lights that I bought to go for the market when I built that. And if I just light this up, this now has a light at the bottom. And you will have seen this thing on the platform, but that just makes, it just is so much better and will look so much better once it's in the layout. So I think what all this burbling is about essentially is that if you are at an early stage of your layout, plan the lighting at that point. You will know that I have a real problem about trying to get light into Bagshot Terrace and Longbottom Terrace, because I didn't plan ahead enough. Now I think I may have a solution there, but I'm not sure. But possibly by the end of this video, something will have arrived that may help me to be able to know where things are, so that I can put some lights in. Because when you see the layout at night, there is bits now which is lit up. Greyhaven I'm absolutely fine with. The engine shed, the fire station, the hotel. High Elven, once it's rebuilt, will have its lights in. But Weathertop itself spends most of its time at night in an inky blackness, which does not look right. So what I'm intending to do is to put more lighting in the buildings, but also to try to deal with the problem that where I have used lighting, I've not run the cables or used cables in the most efficient way. And so I end up with great lengths of cable from almost every light. I mean, you can probably see there's wires going all over the place. This is one of the lights that sits at the end of the platform. And it has huge lengths of cable. Now, long runs of cable are not unusual in a model railway, but you don't want more than you absolutely need. Since that wonderful man, Mark Island, introduced me to these little things, I intend to improve things quite substantially. Now, these are power distribution boards. I've shown them before. And there are 2 or 3 already on the layout in various places. And the basic idea is power comes in here or through here if you've got a DIN plug to put it in. And you can have this set up either that it then provides all these outlets. There's, I think, 32 of them all told. Let's get my hand out of the way so I can focus on this. 32 of them all told. Either as the direct voltage, or you can, by seating this jumper, now this is actually set for 3 volts, it will step it down to 3 volts. So all of these coming out of here will be at 3 volts. The beauty of that is you don't need to be wiring in loads of resistors to step down from 12 volts to 3. Because if you put 12 volts through a 3 volt LED, you no longer have an LED. So what I'm going to do is to set this down underneath the platform in much the same way as I have done for the fire station and the hotel. So I will dig out from the foam board that's below there a space to be able to set this in, bring power into this, and then run all the other cables to this thing underneath the platform. And I may need to think of some adaptations to the underneath of the platform to enable me to run the cables. But this may take me a little while to figure all that out and get it all put in there. But it will mean I'll have fewer cables coming down from under the layout. and two, given that I'm going to have very many more lights on this platform, that's going to make life a lot simpler in getting it all fed in to this. I think what I will probably use are these terminals here, but you can, as you can see, you can use the JSTs, I can't remember what they're called now, or the pin connectors, which I've used also before on other things. But this will happily cope with all the lights that I will be having running off here, providing 3 volts to them. So I'm looking forward to doing that because I think it will be good to get the station lit up. But that may mean this will not go back on the layout for a couple of weeks because there are some things I need to buy to be able to put into the buildings, and those things I will stick onto the platform so they're fixed. This just sits quite happily on the platform, and I'm going to leave that like that in case I need to get in and change any of the bulbs. But the desks and the chairs and anything else can stay in their position once I know where those are. So that's the plan. It's possible by the next video I'll have acquired everything I need and have them in place. But if not, it may take me a week or 2 more before I get that done. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the running shots that you've seen. I've put on for this closing section the castle running the opposite way, at least I hope it's running the opposite way to the way it was in the clip, just to show that it does run both ways because it is doing something that it has never done ever, which is to pull 8 coaches around the layout and not slip to a stand when it got to the viaduct and the curves in the foot of the L shape. So that has at least confirms to me that all the work to change the layout at that end, ease the curves and put in a new viaduct which is now level around there, has paid benefits because I can see finally the thing that I'd always hoped to see, which is a castle with 8 coaches going around the track. The tank engine is pulling, the standard 4 tank engine is pulling the rake of Mark I suburban class coaches, which I showed you I think in the last video but couldn't actually show you running because of course the track was up at that end. So that also is the first of this video, and you'll see in the background that the platform is in its place. All the shots that were taken today were taken with that platform sitting there, so that I've now tested it with the what I think are my widest locomotives. That's the 8F, the 9F and the Coronation class locomotive, the Duchess of Norfolk. The tank engine, the 2 tank engines were on just for a bit of local flavour, and because I wanted to run the Mark I suburban coaches. So I've marked very clearly where the ends of the platform are. In the next video I will be able to show you what work I've done on the platform, and there's quite a few well, titifications really that have taken place with the platform, not least underneath, to enable me to run cables. I'm expecting to receive the various things that I spoke about earlier in the video about to be able to decorate the inside of some of the rooms on the platform. And I will also reveal in the next video a potential solution for being able to put some lights along this area. I just need to do a couple more tests and see whether it's going to work or not. But I hope to be able to reveal that in the next video, so plenty for you to come back and see. If you've liked the video, do give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, because it'd be great to have you along. But till I speak to you again in about a fortnight's time, that's bye-bye from me. Bye-bye.